Clayton Clemens is here with us from Project Focus at today's Chamber Chatter. If I can talk, we'll get it out. Welcome to Wesley Chapel.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and taking me on my first podcast adventure.
Oh,
I'm excited.
It's going to be easy peasy. It won't be painful. I promise.
I'm not scared. I've listened to a good amount of podcasts,
right?
but it's like your first
time.
Like, ooh.
You might get the bug. You might want to start doing one.
Maybe.
With your students. Oh, that would be really cool.
I have pondered that before, so we can talk a little bit more.
Yeah, we could talk a little bit more about that. But I want to introduce everybody to Project Focus. I just met you, 8 months ago, if that,
yeah.
At USF. We were introduced. Then I came to one of your informational sessions about Project Focus. I think it was a fundraiser. The breakfast or...
Yeah, we have an annual breakfast. It's educational and fundraising.
Pull that mic up to you so we can make sure we get you.
Gotcha.
Okay.
It's educational and fundraising. So two-part combo, but annual every year.
Okay. So tell us a little bit what Project Focus is, and then I'll share my experience of taking the tour, because that was legitimately life-changing, and I'll share that with you. But tell us what Project Focus is.
No, and thank you for having me. And life-changing is words that I describe almost every day. You know, when people ask me, what's your favorite day? I'm like, or favorite moment? I'm like, you can't put a date on it. So Project Focus is a local nonprofit. It is the umbrella organization, essentially, supporting other nonprofits on the same campus that support individuals with developmental disabilities. Currently, we started 13 years ago as just a public charter school. So we have a high school and a transition program, and then we added a middle school program about 3 years ago to the Focus Academy Charter School. It's a tuition-free program founded by a licensed mental health counselor and some parents that were really determined to give their children another option. And so rather than replicating our board, which our board wanted, our founders decided they would rather follow these young adults into adulthood. What happens often when a young adult turns 22, they fall off a cliff. And for families who are trying to plan for that future, they want a future for that child, regardless of the disability. They want that purpose. And so we created Focus Forward. It's an adult day training program, harmonious on the same campus for 22 to 30-year-olds. And that's a life skill development program where the young adults engage in volunteership, community engagement, life skill development, building friendships, relationships, cooking, cleaning, everything you need to know to learn to be independent in the future. We also have a cafe that we operate out of the Temple Terrace Rec Center. That's a job training site for that transition program. Through community partnerships, we have about a half dozen biannual partners where our students are out in the community. They're working front of house at the Florida Aquarium, feeding Tampa Bay, the Temple Terrace Rec Center, the City Hall, really the full gambit of opportunities. We're trying to give them real world experiences to maybe not necessarily take that job, but learn how to be a good employee, because you can learn a skill. That's not the hard part for them. It's, when to ask the appropriate questions, workplace conduct, what's appropriate and what's not, what happens when you're not feeling good. And so to have those supports in place, we've seen tremendous growth and results. And the long-term goal is to take these programs and grow them into their own future campus that will hopefully include supported living. And
awesome.
So,
I saw that when I came to visit. So you're in, get comfortable. We're gonna talk about this because it's near and dear to my heart, and I think I shared that with you. But you're in Temple Terrace.
We are in Temple Terrace, and I joined the cause about 2 years ago. My nephew, Rhett, has been my guiding light. I formerly worked for a local state representative for about 6 years, and during that time frame, my nephew was born, and he had a stroke in utero. It left my stepsister and her husband, grasping at straws. They were planning on having a big family. When you have a child who suffers from seizures for the first year of their life, you can't think about that. Mm-hmm. And so they ended up disconnecting the half of the brain that was causing those seizures, which at age 1 was the best thing they could have done for him because it prevented further damage. And at that age, it allowed the brain to grow. And so I saw him about a week and a half ago. He's 10 years old now. He asked permission to call me whenever he wants, and I told him yes. I got a call the next day.
Yeah.
And it's been incredible, but he has been kind of my purpose. And in engaging with anyone, I'm always trying to find out what a person's purpose is and what makes them want to wake up in the morning, put their pants on, have a cup of coffee, go to work. Is it the work or is it something else? And I've been blessed that I have found something that can combine both. And so, yeah, the long picture is that community model that really isn't being done elsewhere. And if I could make it happen in Florida, maybe we could change the laws elsewhere and make it accessible, because we're finding that there are so many barriers and unexpected red tape to allowing housing for this community to come to life.
So Project Focus, children, young adults with intellectual, some physical disabilities, or just intellectual disabilities, and what types of, I hate to use the word diagnoses, do they have? But your spectrum of students.
No, that's a great question. And we're not a one size fit all, and that's why it's good to have choices and good to have options and to support those, regardless if you're benefiting from them or not. But Focus Academy, the charter school to attend, our students are on what's called a modified curriculum, and that is determined by a student's IQ. And so all of our students have an intellectual disability, so a significant cognitive disability, which that standard has lowered due to federal law. And so that IQ standard now is about a 67. Often about 60% of those students also have autism. We also have a high percentage of individuals with Down syndrome. But regardless of disability, there's a friend and a place and a home for these students where many of them came from bullied environments. They came from not wanting to go to school to, I heard the other day, and we just recently launched a grades 3 through 6 focused day school. We only have one classroom this semester, but we are anticipating extreme growth in that program. But we heard that the first day of school was, for her, better than chicken nuggets.
Oh, whoa.
I'm not a parent yet, but I know that's a big deal.
That's a really, really big deal. If you become better than mac and cheese, you've hit the top. Yeah, you've peaked. Just so your goal, I think, is what I'm hearing, is taking them from that third grade all the way through, and potentially living there.
And the goal is to provide supports. And if we have an individual who benefits from those programs into adulthood, by all means. If we have a student who benefits so much from our transition program that they go and get a job and aren't part of our adult day training program, that is also great.
Yeah.
We want to provide pathways to independence, whether it's attending HCC, it's going and being a permanent volunteer at any of our local nonprofits, if it's attending a day program, or going straight into part-time work. We just want to be that stepping stone, so we try to provide those supports to get to independence. And so hopefully, if we can bring in that housing component, that we can provide a space for a population that isn't often given the ability to be independent, to learn those skills. Because what we're seeing now is a lot of parents and caregivers are concerned about the future of their loved ones, because, and it's great that medical advancements have allowed our loved ones to live longer, but now they're going to live past their caregivers. And if you're in your 60s and you've never been given the ability to cook on your own or to learn the bus system, you could be in a really tough spot. And we want to provide an avenue for individuals to get a grasp on living alone or living independently, and being within maybe hopefully a walkable corridor, so they have access to the community. That's a big component of it, is socialization. And I think that we've seen, outside of even the IDD population, everyone's trying to find a way to connect with each other again. It's like cell phones and technology came and they disconnected us in a way.
They absolutely did. They put a barrier, at least. The device,
yes, exactly. A physical barrier. While you still feel connected in a sense, people are now longing for that physical connection
Correct.
again.
Perfectly said.
And so that's exactly what we're trying to do, is to provide that same connection. Because if you are with a group of girlfriends and you have an experience in front of you, you're much more likely to try that with your friends than if you're with strangers or if you're alone.
Right.
Even if it's trying a new food outside of chicken nuggets, or if it's trying a new part-time volunteer opportunity. Social connection is the key to everything, and I think that our founder, Loretta Gal Lopez, who is a licensed mental health counselor, because of that foundation in all of the programs, it's just proven more beneficial than we ever thought. And so we're fortunate for our partners at USF. their rehab and counseling department. We are working hand in hand with them on educating that next group of leaders, and hopefully the community we envision can be that learning ground too. Because if Tampa Bay can be known and can help spread the wealth to other communities, we can just continue to activate and serve more, which from a business perspective, if we can, carve out duties that maybe are time consuming for other employees but would benefit, but an individual with a disability may benefit from, we want to be that partner in alleviating any pressures that they may face too.
I know a lot of businesses are always open to having employees. They're very loyal. Mm-hmm. They're great workers, and so that was one of my reasons for having you come and share, is that the business community is eager to support, because it touches all of us in our day-to-day. Yours is your nephew. Mm-hmm. My daughter's on the spectrum, so I've lived through it and know. But I've heard from the business community so much that they're there, they want to help. So tell us,
the next steps?
Yeah, what are the next steps? I know.
No, I get it.
And I saw your presentation and what you want, what you're looking for, and I know that you've got some constraints as far as where you're currently positioned. And so what are your plans? You're the executive director.
Yeah.
So you're in charge of finding the location, building it, getting it all. So what?
Yes, no short undertaking by any means. No. Well, first question, going back to the business community, if they're wanting to get engaged with this population, if they want to activate even high school graduates or college interns, hosting a volunteer group or having a system in place. So one partner we're actually going to be working with this upcoming year is the Mosey Museum. Going to be an amazing partnership. They didn't have a volunteer group actively coming in to regularly volunteer. And so I said, we're working with the Florida Aquarium on Fridays. What if we brought a cohort of 6 individuals here? We could man an individual at each area where they'd have a list of 3 duties to be completing over that 3 to 6 hour shift. And they'll rotate through the semester through each of those opportunities. And at Mosey, there are roles that they cannot fill. And so if we are able to give someone that skill set and confidence to then go out and apply and get that opportunity, that would be incredible. But all that to say, if a business has the capabilities or capacity to have an intern, we have a young man I know in our transition program who was an admin clerk, just helping with filing, very simple tasks, and now he's moved on to answering phone calls and forwarding emails along, which is a huge step.
That. It is.
Huge.
It is, and I love that for him and for you, and being able to make that connection, and that he feels fulfilled.
Yes.
And able to give. They have so many special talents and special gifts to give.
And if someone's just willing to give them a chance. And many of all of our community-based training opportunities are volunteer-based, so they're free. No businesses are paying for our services. If down the line there's opportunities and paid opportunities, we can explore those on an individual basis. But for the volunteer work, it's giving a person a chance to excel in a role or develop a skill set. It's not setting them up necessarily for that next position. But if a company would be interested, I'd be happy to connect any dots and get some trainings under their belt so that their employees feel comfortable. Again, we want this to be a mutually beneficial partnership. Generally, when I go to these community sites, they say the best part of our day is when your students are here.
Yeah.
And so I would encourage anyone to explore that, whether it's with Project Focus or maybe any other IDD programs locally. There are so many that could use the partnership.
And I recently saw that the state of Florida, and there's also federal training dollars for hiring persons with disabilities that can help offset those trainings and their employment with them. I mean, there's obviously, there comes a little bit of work that has to be done, but nonetheless, it's an incentive for businesses to participate.
Yes, I would encourage any business, if they're interested, reach out to us. We have a good relationship with the state's vocational rehabilitation office. And so the intention of that program is to facilitate these types of partnerships and relationships and getting them off the ground, which then leads us to our next step, which is that future community. And so right now in the state of Florida, it's very challenging to find housing that, like I said, meets those needs of acting maybe as a learning grounds or a stepping stone. Right now, it's very common for group homes in suburban communities or single apartments in larger settings to be what is kind of what's approved right now. Our goal is to create a housing community that would be 100% IDD, that allows the population we're serving to live amongst their friends, their peers, those who get them, and then to be within an arm's reach of services. And if we could be centrally located, that would be extremely beneficial to this population because they will show up and they'll be happy employees. They'll, if you know, whether it's an Embassy Suites nearby that they can cross the street and go to, a front of house at Wawa, a Tampa Family Health Center, a Moffitt hospital room where they can go and turn beds or sanitize, whatever we can do to work together to bridge those gaps. There's so many opportunities, and inclusive of that community, we hope to also incorporate our own workforce training center where there would be ground floor retail partners. And we've been speaking with other local nonprofits that provide those types of services like Feeding Tampa Bay, where our students already volunteer. And if there's a pathway to bringing other nonprofits in, we're very open to that. And then the other component to it is, again, to have our own academy. Right now we rent in Temple Terrace, which we're extremely grateful for. We have amazing landlords, and it's a beautiful property, but we have outgrown our home.
Yes, you have.
And while we're not abandoning that home, we would love to see a community where these pieces are walkable. Many people right now, especially those in the Tampa Bay region, complain about transportation. They complain about walkability. Well, that's tenfold for those that we serve that can only rely on van services to get them to and from, to the grocery store, to the CVS, to everything. And so if we can erase those barriers, while we're not trying to create an institutionalized model by any means, but having them within walking distance does not seem too far of a reach for us. And so that's what our goal is. We don't have a home yet.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
We would love to stay nearby where we're currently located in Temple Terrace. We've set up an advisory council that includes the mayor of Temple Terrace, Mayor Ross, school board member Patty Rendon, County Commissioner Josh Wostel, Dr. Eric Eisenberg with the UACDC and University of South Florida. And so there's a lot of individuals who are on board and believe that our community is ready for this. And so I think once we're able to locate that ideal home, whether it's within another redevelopment or if it's a partnership with a local church where now their land has also become, I would say, a little bit easier to get housing developed on. And so if there's pathways to creating sustainable models, again, I mean, I saw actually last week, Florida Housing put out a webinar on it's called Yes in God's Backyard Bill. And they had in the city of Tampa about 800 acres that could be redeveloped for affordable housing. And in Hillsborough County, it was like 3,500 acres.
Really?
And that doesn't include, that 3,500 doesn't include the 800 or Plant City or Temple Terrace. And so there's huge opportunities right now where if we can get the right people on board with bringing creative solutions to life, I think there could be a twofold win where churches and synagogues and mosques, they have families within walking distance of their congregations, and there could be volunteer opportunities together, and it just really builds a cohesive community.
How many acres do you need for your dream campus?
Our dream campus is based off of a parking lot that doesn't exist, or it exists, but it's not for sale, and it's about 10 acres.
Okay.
With the right partners and with Councilman Vieira also on our advisory board.
Louis is fantastic in this space. And
he is. And we are, we've been engaging with amazing members of our community. I'm getting chills talking about it, but just blessed that they're just willing to take that step with us. There are some federal restrictions to bringing solutions like this to life, and so we are working with our local congressional delegation, our state delegation, and obviously our county commissioners and city councilmen. But we're going to continue to push for the opening of housing choice for this population so that we're not kind of put into one box. The disability spectrum is large.
It is.
And while a group home setting may be good for one individual, a more supported living environment may be better for another. And our families just really comes down to safety. And so we're trying to
we
figure
have
out.
it for our aging population. We've got those skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities for our aging population. I wonder why it's so much more difficult for
And it is possible
younger.
to develop an ALF model. However, you won't be able to serve the number of individuals that our board and our founders and our community really would like to serve in a more efficient and economical model. If we want to do townhouses versus apartments, the cost is going to be astronomically
Right.
larger, more land, larger costs, larger upkeep. It doesn't really fit what we're trying to accomplish, but we are willing and happy to work with partners in trying to come up with that solution and work with our lawmakers in ensuring that it's something that's going to last, because we don't want to set up something for failure. But
No, you want a sustainable and duplicatable model
Yes.
that maybe Tampa can be that test bed and where the innovation starts, and then you can take it out into other communities.
Exactly, and something that maybe is adaptable too. The rendering we have, which I hope we can share with your viewers.
Absolutely.
It's a dream, it's a vision. However, we also are understanding that visual might not fit in East Tampa CRA. It might not fit a Temple Terrace neighborhood. It might not fit Town and Country or University area, but a rendition of it could.
Right.
If we change the facade,
you can make some adjustments. Let's just find the
yes,
land.
Exactly. We are very open to doing that. Our primary focus is going to be the housing component, though, just because our programs are running. They're strong. We have those wait lists, so we're not going anywhere. But we just need to figure out where that next piece is going to be.
Well, I had the tour.
Yes.
Do you open that up to anybody that wants to come and do a tour?
We do. We have them listed on the website, projectfocususa.org. All they have to do is look at our calendar. If there's a date that works with them, just reach out to me. We're hosting one tomorrow on August 21st. It's probably too late for the current
Too late
viewers.
because we're probably not going to air until next week. But
And we're already booked overboard, so that's fine. But I believe September 11th is our next opportunity, if anybody would like to join.
well, I will give you a testimonial about that. I had the pleasure of coming, and if anybody watching wants to go, I will go back with you because your morning assembly. I was there for that.
Morning meeting.
Oh, sorry, morning meeting. Assembly, yeah, morning meeting. It was all of the students, right?
Yep.
They come in, I got teary-eyed and got emotional when I was in there. The kids that came up to us and talked to us, we were just a little small group, and watching them all be engaged. You don't see that in a regular classroom.
You don't see it anywhere.
Anywhere. Like, all of the children, all ages, all disciplines, and all abilities were all engaged. And in the curriculum that you have and in the way that was presented was so moving. And then to be able to walk to the kitchen, that was my favorite. I love to cook and come up with recipes, but just watching the staff interact with the students and teaching them how to prepare meals and having a menu and how to grocery shop and how to be part of taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
And it was just so incredibly impactful to see in such a little space, relatively, all of these kids. How many do you have?
So in the academy, we have about 115. In our adult day program, we have about 36. The room that we met in actually for our tour has now been converted into a expansion of the adult program.
Okay.
We've moved our office temporarily into the back of the church, which has been incredible partners and gave us permission to use that. And then in our Voc Rehab program, which is an after-school program, that's going to serve cohorts of 10 in 8-week increments. And so
okay.
we just had our first after-school program or cohort graduate last semester. Then we received some funding through United Way, which shout out to them, amazing partner.
Yeah.
And that's going to help us grow an employment program where we can have a full-time paid employee dedicated to job placement, internship locations.
Awesome.
Setting up more of those volunteer opportunities with our business partners. So anyone interested, that can be an opportunity to work with us. And I lost my train of thought, but all
No,
that's just-
moving in your office, little space, you
Yes.
expanded your.
Yeah, so the total number of students and staff daily is around 200 to 205.
Wow.
With just students, about 160 to 165.
So where do you get your funding?
So that's a great question. Each of our nonprofits are standalones, so they all have their own funding mechanisms that keeps their lights on. So none of them rely on me, Clay, to keep their lights on. So the academy is through per pupil funding, just like a traditional public school in
Okay.
Hillsborough County. Our adult program is approved through MedWaiver, so the Agency for Persons with Disability. It receives its funding through Medicaid, and then it disperses it through its programs. And so our adult program, if the client is on the Medicaid waiver, that is how they pay.
Okay.
It wouldn't be out of pocket. However, if there is private pay options for families as well, and we charge the same amount that the state would reimburse, which is not a whole lot. So it's good.
Good, yeah.
For them.
and then you have fundraisers throughout the year. You had
course.
something fun. You had
Yes,
a walk.
We had a glow row.
Glow row, right?
It was so freaking cool. So we do host fundraisers. Project Focus, our funding sources come from the community, from grants, from our boards. And so, yes, we have a gala coming up on October 18th at the Tampa Yacht and Country Club, and we have sponsorship opportunities. It's going to be a night of elegance, fun, celebration, and we're going to have a golf tournament in January, and I'll get you all this
Yes,
again.
please. We want to share your story. We want to
Yes,
get it out
yes.
there so that people are aware.
Well, and I always say to build a community takes a community.
Absolutely.
Our programs are founded off the backs of parents who have been strapped with unimaginable needs and not a lot of bandwidth to go out and tell that story. And that's what I'm trying to do. And any help is appreciated. So in March, we'll be doing another one of our breakfasts.
Okay.
And then the Glow Row is going to be in April of this year. And this past year, one of our partners, CrossFit Hyde Park, they have a business in North Hyde Park near Tampa. Our adult clients, the 22 to 30-year-olds, we go there once a month to clean equipment. We clean outside, we pick up trash, we beautify the space, we learn about the importance of taking care of your things. And then afterwards, we do a mobility class and a WOD, or a workout of the day. It is a whole lot of fun. And so there was a games athlete in Illinois. Her and her husband started a foundation, and their main fundraising event was called the Glow Row. And it is a rowing challenge, teams of 10, and you row a marathon. So 42,000 and change meters. Over the course of 4 hours at night, under some canopies, we deck it out. Every team decks it out with neon lights, paint, you name it. We make it look like a festival experience. We had local DJs. Regina Gonzalez with Fox 13 came out to support and MC the night. And we had sponsors and vendors, and it was just incredible. And so we had about 300 people come out that night, 19 teams of 10, which for the first
Nice.
year was awesome.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It raised over $40,000 for our programs, which you couldn't ask for anything
No,
else.
that's phenomenal. And it was fun, I'm sure. The kids.
Okay, so we had two divisions. We had one of typical athletes that were very competitive, and then we had one of our athletes and their peers and family members. And so we had about half and half split. Our athletes with disabilities, they rode a half marathon. And it was the most joyful experience. It's indescribable to see a parent who has had to watch their child be put on the sideline.
Oh,
And to have them then be the star of the show, not even the star of the show, but
Just
just like
be
everyone
participating,
else,
just
like everyone
being
else,
there.
to have to cheer on a typical person and then have that person cheer on them, and it not be forced by any means. It was just so wholesome. And so we're going to do it again next year. It's going to be in April, at the end of April, and so
before it gets too hot.
yes, and we're trying not to put too many events together.
Yeah.
But it would be amazing to get more members of our community out for that. We're looking at hosting it again at a CrossFit gym because they have a ton of rowing machines. I'm not sure 100% if it's going to be at the one in Hyde Park or it might be over in Ybor. We're still working out the logistics there, but it'll be a busy Q1 and 2 of next year, and I'd love to share all the events we're doing to spread the word.
Absolutely, and we would love to help you spread the word because these are our community people. These are our kids, and we want to make sure that they have the best quality of life and access and equitable opportunities.
100%. And I think sometimes we are in a, I don't know if our culture has just abandoned asking for help or making sure someone's okay. But, I have so many friends who are like, how do you get your students? And it's just word of mouth. And if any of your viewers have a friend or a family member or a neighbor who they have a child with a disability, let them know that we are a resource, because it's too often that children or young adults will just sit at home.
Yeah.
And it's not the fault of their own, and it's not the fault of their parents.
You don't know what you don't know.
And if you're a nonprofit charter school, you don't have a budget to just blast out, ads
Right.
and put that PSAs out there. But we're here to help, and so we'd love to open our doors. And if we're not the right fit, we have trained teachers, we have trained licensed mental health counselors, we have full repertoire where they can, send you to whoever and whoever may be that resource for you.
Well, I have loved getting to know Project Focus, and so thankful that we ran into each other, and I've been able to get to learn more. And that's why I wanted to share with our members and our community, and that we can all rally and support your efforts and help you,
Yes.
help these kiddos.
Thank
And I will make sure that we get your information, at least on the last page of our podcast today, so people can reach out to you. It sounds like you're open to pretty much any kind of ideas of ways to engage.
You name it. I mean, there are so many creative ways, from bringing businesses on campus to volunteer for a day, to doing roundup campaigns at checkouts, to, putting in committing to your clients and to your business partners that, you're going to put a percentage of revenue towards a local nonprofit. I would encourage everyone to do that, regardless of if it's Project Focus or not. We've come to a point where organizations maybe have been relying on government for too long, or they've been relying on a single donor for too long, and we're seeing a shakeup in where those funds come from. And so I think it's imperative for the business community to have that skin in the game as well, because these are your neighbors, these are your employees' children, these are the people who check you out at Publix. I mean, these are everyone in the community, and I think if it isn't a direct impact, sometimes it can get lost on us. And there's so many issues out there that I think if we can just all get into a better sense of giving, if you give, you get.
Yep.
And I think if we can continue to do that, that this issue and others will be achievable.
This year, our board chair, her passion is nonprofits. And so we've been trying to highlight as many nonprofits as we can throughout this whole year, just to bring awareness. We don't have the dollars to help support you, but we've got members, we have businesses, we have people in the community that hear these stories, and we hope they resonate with them. So I'm so thankful that you came up here today and gave us this information. And I can't wait to see where you land and where we have this campus.
Me too.
And I hope that I can bring some friends along.
Yes, I would encourage you to bring everyone along on this journey. We're still in the first few chapters, but that's usually when it's about start to get really good. And so I'm excited for what's ahead, and encourage anyone to check out our website. It's www.projectfocususa.org. They can reach out to me too. It's clemens@projectfocususa.org. So we're an open book. We want to have this to be the most collaborative community effort possible. We don't have a single billionaire donor behind us, but if you know one, let us know. We will of course work with anyone and everyone who sees the same writing on the wall and has that mission in mind.
Well, Clayton, as a mother of a special needs child, I thank you for the work that you're doing. I see your passion and I see your heart, and it goes a long way. And I know that you're going to do great things. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.